I'm looking to introduce you to realizing resiliency, what that is, how do we overcome hurdles, obstacles, climbing mountains as the slide deck is showing. How do we overcome things that are seemingly bigger than us from our own personal viewpoint? So we're going to define this. We're going to go over a lot of what is being resilient, health benefits to it, mastering mindset, roads to resilience, bouncing back better. All right, so let's define what is resiliency, you may ask. Well, the process and outcome of successfully adapting to difficult or challenging life experiences, especially mental, emotional, behavioral, and adjusting to the external, internal demands of your everyday life. I'm a father of 4. My wife is my high school sweetheart. We've been married over 17 years to this point in time. I love her to death. We have 4 cats, a dog. It's a very active lifestyle. There are multiple after-school, extracurricular school activities, from being in a band, orchestra, the play, for theater. There's fencing, there's dance classes, soccer for 2 of them. There's a lot of moving parts, and those are challenges on the schedule, on my mental framework, on how I can manage all of that, and even the emotionalness of it when my daughter is overly tired after just a long day of doing something. How do I get her to bed and read to her, and I be patient with her to share love and support at the end of the day, even though I've been through a lot in myself. Fortunately, I talk to people that want to talk to me all day, and we're improving on their health, their life, doing really cool things. So my work isn't as challenging in that aspect of a negative stressor, but there's still stress managing my clients, managing my family, most importantly. So let's move on. Viewing and engaging with the world. That's one way that we are engaging. The availability and quality of social resources, whether that be a friend group or actual resources around different groups that you could belong to, or tools, skill sets to manage stress, specific coping strategies. That's one question I'll often ask people is, how do you manage stress? Their answer therein lies how they manage it and to what impact and degree it has on their life. If they have better coping skills, they can be a lot more functional in the everyday, handle and manage the everyday tasks that they have to deal with. Types of stress. So we have 2 of them. Number 1 is the acute, and second is chronic. Acute occurs during a particular time or event, is in isolation to that incident. Say examples are paying bills, planning weddings, me prepping for this webinar to show up on time at noon and have all my tech and the slide deck to be presenting accurately without any lag. That in itself is an acute stress to make sure I show up on time, ready, professional to deliver this in an engaging, fun way. Number 2 is the chronic, constant sense of feeling pressure and overwhelm over a long period of time. Illness, relationship conflict, that relationship could be certainly at home, but also in the workplace or with your children or friends. That can be a chronic illness, being, say, heart disease. If you have high blood pressure and high cholesterol, that's chronic stress that is being placed on your body every single day. And it's worth your while to take care of that. Therefore, it won't last longer into the external parts of your life. Now, sources of resilience. We have biological, personality, and environmental. So biological, we have gene expression, just how your body, how we physically are represented on the outside, how our DNA is structured on the inside to make us more susceptible or less susceptible to disease, or even our personalities. Our stress response system, how do we actually manage that? Say fight or flight is in there as well. Do we go forward and say attack the situation in a good, positive way, or do we run and flee because there's a giant tiger chasing us? That's definitely going to be the let's get out of this situation. Your neural circuitry, your emotional regulation in your brain, how is that your biochemistry helping or maybe impairing you to make better decisions and not necessarily emotionally respond, but come at a situation in a bit more logical sense to therefore create solutions from the get-go. And your immune response, if you are underslept, you literally are less resistant to illness and more likely to get sick. That's a really good one. If you have constant stress, cortisol floating through your veins, you will also wear out your body. You'll have potentially adrenal fatigue, things like that. That's the biological. Personality traits, type A, type B, one can go with the flow, whereas one is more rigid. Internal locus of focus, how you can internalize and focus your control over your body, over the words, your reactions, having mastery around certain topics of your professional life, having relationship mastery to engage with those closest to you, your self-esteem. Where at on the self-esteem ladder does that fall? If you have a high confidence level and high self-esteem, you see yourself as an active person who can handle the things that are coming up and showing up in their life. Whereas if self-esteem and you're not optimistic but pessimistic or scarcity-minded, resilience, just being resilient is going to be a challenge. Everything is a bigger hurdle because of the way you perceive the situation. Environmental, your social support, your family, your peers, people around you, or groups, community services, your sporting activities or group activities. My kids are involved in band, steel drum band, orchestra, theater, art. Those are 5 that are coming from their middle school outside of their sporting, but those are more artistic that allow for a different focal point of people to come in and show up for them in that way. And cultural factors, just what life throws at you in terms of your cultural background, or just where you're at literally in a physical community location could cause potential challenges. Now we have stressors, we have resilience factors, risk factors pressing on this homeostasis. So if we look at this slide, we have the homeostasis and resilience. That's where we're looking to balance that as much as we can. We're all going to have stressors from illness, potentially divorce or natural disasters, bullying, war, trauma is a big one that happens in multiple different ways, from physical body trauma to mental emotional trauma, or the resilience factors of how do we combat some of those external life factors with better improved social connections, support from specific groups, or a coach or someone that has a skill set to help you manage, a counselor or therapist, having higher self-esteem, creative outlets, coping skills, and meaning making. You're able to have better understanding of how take the meaning from a situation and understand it better. All right, resilience in action makes someone who's resilient makes realistic plans and sticks to them. They do the things they say they're going to do, therein by alleviating a lot of stress and anxiety. Manages emotions effectively. You can come in and understand that something may or may not make you happy or sad or joyful or anger, but you're able to cope with that and come at it with a sense of calm, confidence, and focus to effectively provide solutions in that situation. Views self as a fighter. You are ready to put up a fight. I like being optimistic. That is important as well. Now, sun is shining, even if it's cloudy out. Glass is half full is another really good one. instead of half empty, that type of a resilient type mindset. Now on the other side, we see a person that's not so excited, a little sad, looking from the image and curled up in the fetal position. More so, the brain speak bubble is a bunch of squiggly lines. There's no actionable, say, thought happening in terms of providing outcomes or solutions that help better. So they struggle to recover from setbacks. A setback can cost them a day to even a week, slows down their everyday life. It uses unhealthy coping mechanisms. In my world, people overeat, or they substance abuse, to say alcohol or something, or just calories. Calories is a form of substance abuse. We got to find better coping mechanisms there. Views self as a victim. That's a problem. All right, we're going to keep working on how do we get out of that negative, not great, pessimistic, non-opportunistic mindset place. Now, here's a study. A significant minority of veterans screened positive for mental disorders. The majority were psychologically resilient. Veterans who rated themselves higher on perceived ability to handle difficulties demonstrated more post-traumatic growth and less severity and incidences of PTSD. A veteran comes back from war or military engagement. They have a higher perceived ability to handle themselves. They think of themselves highly of themselves. They're confident. Their symptoms or likeness to relate to PTSD is significantly less. That's psychological resiliency from the situations that they experienced. Here's a really strong key point. It's okay to not be okay. You don't always have to wear a smile. Life is happening. Life is a challenge. Life is always changing. These are truths. Your ability to change with it helps you manage your response. I love the graphic here on this. We have two people talking to each other, and there's 5 emojis ranging from this feels like a satisfaction button where you have different faces, a mad emoji to a okay emoji to a really happy emoji. And those are faces. So you could push each of those buttons at different days to help you understand where you're at right now and what are the things that you need to focus on to ideally move to the happier side of this all. So it's okay to not be okay. Common response to adversity is some decline followed by increase back to baseline. We do need that increase back to baseline. Your ability to bounce back to your baseline is going to be your perceived life, how you engage and feel and deal with the everyday situations that you are. You have to be able to bounce back, or life will drag you down and just not be that fun or fulfilling. Resilience gives you power to tackle problems and challenges head on and move forward. The resiliency muscle is something constantly talking about with people. How do we overcome these challenges? I literally ask people, what were some of the challenges last week? I'm looking to help them identify their blind spots, help them come up with strategies to find solutions that would be favorable for them to act and implement on. I had someone that earlier today was an anxious eater. Wasn't sure if she was ever doing anything right. Was even worried about if she could have some popcorn or not. And this first week, this was our second phone call. We actually had a lot of progress. She had popcorn. She went out socially. She practiced good food choices, good portion control. These were imperative to her making a lot of progress in her everyday life, which is excellent because I'm just here to get her to be better this week than she was last week. Make better decisions for herself now this next coming week than where we were at last week. It's just a slow, continual progression to improve. Start with self-compassion and ask for help when needed. That's generally where I meet people. They are in some form of not that excited about their health, their body, their weight, their performance. I have a gentleman that's trying to perform and become an All-American. That's I have another lady who's a kayaker in London right now preparing for world championships so she can go to yet another Olympics. She did one Olympics in Beijing. Now she wants to go to Paris and compete in that. That is wild and crazy. She wants help and focused direction to help her perform at her best and recover as well. So let's chat. Jump into the message here. Would love to share something. What is holding you back and what keeps you pushing forward? Well, I'll jump into here for myself. I actually recently got a performance psychologist on my team, someone to help me stay focused, confident, calm in the many, many plates that I'm spinning in my life. One of the key areas was focus that we quickly drew our attention to. That's holding me back. This instant gratification, trying to keep up with all my quote socials or the lots and lots of text messages that I get from clients every day, which is great. They're looking for help. I'm looking to help them. There's just constant interactions happening every day from any which way I look. I have to remain focused. What is the task at hand that allows me to make the most impact? There's a conversation of being MITs, most important tasks. I actually started writing them down. What are the 3 things that are going to move me forward today? Because the faster I can get through those big needle movers, the more I can ideally see progression happen at a faster rate. Most people allow themselves to get held back because they are doing busy work. They're doing things that aren't important, that aren't urgent, and oftentimes could be delegated to someone else. That's especially in, say, your work situation. What keeps you pushing forward? Oftentimes, what keeps me is myself. I am the biggest bottleneck in my life, from my relationships with my wife, my kids, my interactions and clients, what I'm aiming to do professionally, what I want my, quote, legacy to be with the people I've interacted with in this life. My mindset and my thought process, that is the bottleneck there. So hopefully I'd love to see some things for you to share with me on that. All right, so health benefits of building resiliency. Remember, resiliency is a good thing. If you look back and you see that you've overcome hard things in your life, you are often a better person for it. When people are pushed and challenged, they step up when they have resiliency built in and they learn to build it even more. Very little things phase them, trigger them, allowing them to actually live a more fulfilling life. You will experience more fulfillment and satisfaction that way as well. Increasing longevity. Chronic stress associated with high blood pressure, weakened immune systems, insomnia, heartburn, indigestion, heart disease. These are health concerns that will wear down your body and ultimately end it earlier than it needs to be, ultimately allowing you to stay a bit more limited in your capacity to be able to function properly or have a really good life. Resilience significantly contributes to longevity at any age. The more that you can overcome, the more you can handle life's everyday challenges, the more you can step up and conquer. Technology is moving incredibly fast. I am definitely in the technology age, being born in 82. I've seen computers start to progress. I started with the Nintendo. The regular one was my first gaming system, and then we have cell phones and computers and AI now. It's moving so quick. At 40, I am starting to be like, wow, this is really fast. I don't know if I want to learn more new things. That's not the general mindset, but the resilient side of me is like, yes, learn it. It might take a little bit of time. Say the AI is moving incredibly fast. I can grasp it to a certain degree on my abilities, and I can use it to benefit the people around me. That's the primary goal. And I can use it to help facilitate more productivity and efficiency in my life as well. I have used it. I don't know the super scientific things or how the AI itself is evolving, any of that stuff. That's not necessarily where I need to spend my time just yet on it. But that just be an example. Being able to not let technology age you faster than you want. Now, resiliency improves your mental health. Buffers against anxiety, depression, other mental health challenges through self-awareness, coping skills, optimism, self-regulation, positive communication. These are all super important for you to manage and know that you are aware of yourself. We push through anxiety. There's some things I've heard recently. One, anxiety cost. The time that it took you to make the actual decision of moving forward is you could have gotten all the time back that you thought about this decision. That was an interesting thing. The cost of your anxiety is an appropriate amount of time that it takes for you to move forward. I also heard that anxiety, or differently said, indecision, is ultimately a lack of options or opportunities for you to pursue. If you are anxious about a certain decision, then you don't have a lot of options or priority and a framework in which is causing you to feel anxious or indecisive in that moment. If you have skill sets or a framework to rely on, coping skills or priority, then it makes it so much easier. One of the biggest things for myself when coaching people, specifically nutrition-wise, is getting out of the anxiety of what do I eat next? Well, we have a structure around eating proteins and vegetables and starchy carbs. We have general times in the day that you're going to eat. Most people eat 3 to 4 times a day. They're going to drink water throughout the day, occasionally other tasty beverages as well, like coffee or tea or 0-calorie drinks. And we have this hierarchy of when they're going to the grocery store to have the food available, so it's easier to plan, to prepare, to ultimately act on it. Once we have these frameworks built in, how do I keep improving it, making it easier, more refined? Therefore, they get better results, and they feel more energized and feel better about themselves, more confident, which improves mental health. Life satisfaction. Next one. People who have built resilience experience frequent positive emotions, right? They're happier. They believe they are in control of their emotions and state of mind. They don't have that lack of control. They feel engaged in the process of what's going on. They feel they have resources for living well. They can take care of themselves with their roof over their head, their food situation, their mental emotional situations, their relationship situations. They feel more comfortable with those positions. Have a sense of personal empowerment. So they can make strong decisions that are going to affect them in a positive way, but the people around them as well. All right, mastering mindset. It's constantly in the head of what you think about and how you take action on. All right, stay flexible, just like this image, getting the yogi Zen position on. What we want is to be agile, lean, be able to understand what is happening now and what options you have to control. So acknowledge the unexpected and stay open to what happens next. If you close yourself off, it'll be challenging. You are more rigid, and when people are rigid, they usually generally, just say, for example, if you get hurt, if you fall. If you fall and you get rigid, you will definitely get hurt. You just fall flat on your side and your body just has to absorb the impact. Whereas if you're practicing parkour and you went for a jump or fell, you would have a skill set to be able to roll out of it, lessen the impact, and get back to your feet quickly so you can sway the momentum of the fall in a way that allows you to roll out and have less impact to that situation. So in life, parkour, don't get rigid. Remind yourself, this too shall pass. I can do hard things. It's okay to take risks. That's how I learn. I have what I need to get through this. All I can do is my best. Super important, super helpful here. And the ability for you to think of these quotes will keep you in a more resilient, more mindful, and impactful lesson in life, just to adjust. And so we have regained control. You have little control over your life and what happens to you. People rarely get what they deserve. It isn't worth setting goals or making plans because many things can happen that are outside of your control. Life is a game of chance. That's outlook number one. What does that sound? Much more of a pessimistic, scarcity-minded person that likely doesn't have as much self-esteem in certain areas of their life. Outlook number two. Personal actions, attitude, effort play a role in determining outcomes. You're in control. In the long run, people tend to get what they deserve. If they are doing the right things, they should be attracting positive experiences. If you work hard and commit yourself to a goal, you can achieve anything. I've come across this rule of 100. If you spent 100 minutes a day, every day for the next year, whatever that was that you're doing, you're going to get pretty good at. It's going to get a lot easier, but it's that focus, the consistent action, and where you can commit yourself to mastery. Luck has little to do with success. It's mostly a matter of dedication and effort. I'm definitely much more of an outlook 2 person. I'm going to roll my sleeves up. I'm going to put in the work. I'm going to learn. I'm going to experience. I'm going to learn from my experience, moving me forward. As I said earlier about focus, the better I can harness my focus now that I am aware my focus is could be swayed by the significant amount of external inputs that are coming into me. If I have a calm, cool, collected ability to respond to that, then I will feel like I can control my outcomes and I will be living a lifestyle I'm looking for. So which one do you end up leaning towards? More outlook 1, more outlook 2, which one? Resilience and chronic pain study. Resilient individuals experience high levels of pain severity, but low levels of emotional burden and pain-related dysfunction. What that means is if you're a resilient person, you manage pain better. You can manage the discomfort of what's happening in your body and not let it just overwhelm you, overconsume you. Use pain coping strategies and adopt a more adaptive attitude toward pain. You can figure out like meditation, breathing ways. My Dr. Ben is his name. Helped me draw into breath more or feeling grounded more and being aware in the situations that I'm having heightened elevated focus or stress to breathe in and breathe out. And I did that, especially a couple things that were going on today. There's just felt like a lot of input happening, and I was executing, and it just kept breathing through it, not getting tight, rigid. I could parkour, in a sense, through that activity to feel a lot better. Engage in benefit finding, lowering psychological arousal and inflammatory response. All right, so you're able to just really lessen the impact of what's happening to you in pain. Now, finding purpose in pain. When pain is honored and processed in healthy ways, it can cause you to reflect and make new life choices. If something you experience, say, a bad health situation, you can then say, that wasn't so enjoyable. I'm going to change some things in my health. Food, movement, choices, behaviors I'm taking to create something new. You always can improve your health no matter what your age. Even studies show that 70-year-olds, 80-year-olds can gain muscle strength by just working out. And that's incredible because that improves their functionality in their age and their ability to not fall and be mobile. If someone falls in their later life, that's a very not good sign of health and what could come of that fall. Deepen your compassion and empathy for others. So you can relate to other people, you can share, you can understand where they are coming from. Awaken gratitude and appreciation for what you have. That's really important. Gratitude, once you get into the deep internet of gratitude and positivity and journaling and self-reflection and meditation, it goes to gratitude. Being grateful for the things that you have and the things that you possess. Just this act of you watching this, me, communicate these things to you from the comfort of your desk or home or wherever you would be watching this, that's great. That's gratitude in and of itself. Rewind 500 years, this wasn't a thing. Rewind before the printing press, your ability to grasp education and content was not even remotely. I feel very empowered, feel very capable just going to YouTube and DIYing a couple things. I do a lot of DIY in my house. I haven't really tackled a lot of electric. I can do basic electric stuff, but I'm not going to rewire my house or something like that. Tiling, I pass on tiling. I didn't want that to become an issue where I tiled my bathrooms and showers, and at some point in the next year it starts leaking. I was like, yeah, I'll pass on that one. I hired someone. But laying laminate flooring, doing all sorts of odds and ends, fixing my garage door, I can go on YouTube and be empowered to figure out what the answers are and make the next best decision. Move you to act in comfort in justice, so you can just help right some of the wrongs that are happening. Inspire to seek healthier habits and relationships. Go jump into help groups that, like a running group, or find relationship groups that push you to be your best self and keep bettering yourself along the way. See the big picture. Next up, society and culture are hyper-focused on outcomes and results. That would be a big bottleneck for me. That's some of this comparison is a problem. Not necessarily for me too much, but also I'm comparing myself to myself, and I always want to be able to do better, do more. That is something that I have to work through. Process of overthinking views the journey as a destination. Process-oriented thinking views the journey as a destination, meaning life is a journey. It's not the destination. The destination is grim for all of us, but the journey is where we experience life, and that's where we want to make sure that we breathe into the moments and be resilient to overcome some of the life's more difficult situations that it pops up for you, whether it, again, be an illness or finance or relationship or heartache or whatever comes, just the changing in times itself. We want to find the positives throughout the journey and be able to overcome that. Life is a long game. Self-care is essential. You have to take care of your needs. You got to be outside, breathing in air. One of the most powerful things you do in the morning, get up and get sun in your eyeballs. That gets you up, wakes you up, and makes you feel really good that way. Allow a lot of focus. Have non-doing time, rest and exploring. That's super important. Humans are not meant to be always on. You literally need to have some times where you can take a break, rest, breathe, Netflix and chill, and it be okay. We don't want to Netflix and chill and just watch a whole season in one sitting. That's not good life balance as all. That's not necessarily building up resiliency or allowing you to deal with whatever was the situation that got you to want to do that in the first place. But laugh the last one. We definitely want to laugh, bringing joy, laughter, and something funny into your life. My wife is pretty funny. She's very sarcastic, and it gets me to chuckle quite a bit with things she says and does. I really enjoy her that way, being in her. All right. Roads to resilience. I'm going to grab a quick drink here. All right. Roads to resilience. Develop competence, ability, know-how to handle situations effectively. Trusting your judgment. Do the things you say you're going to do. Incredibly important for you to be able to trust yourself, making responsible choices, facing difficult situations so you know that you can overcome them and push through for better ones. Use positive self-talk. Celebrate successes. On my phone calls with my clients, I always start off with successes. What's going well? I want to encourage those positive behavior changes as quickly, as fast as I can, to then allow them to see that they are working hard, that this is paying off, this is worth their time and energy to continue pushing forward. Observe what others are doing, people that are in the place where you want to be. Observe what they're doing. Start to model their behavior and pull it into your own life. Strive for progress, not perfection. It's always about the journey. No one's perfect, even if they appear to be on social media and they have perfect language talk. One thing I've been focusing a lot on is getting rid of filler words. So I've spent a lot of time in the last couple of weeks aiming to eliminate them, having more clarity in my conversation with people, more direct, more finite, more impactful. I'm doing a lot better than I was. So and like are the two still that show up a lot for me. But progress, not perfection. I'm never not going to say those. It will happen. The frequency of them happening is significantly less. And guess where I learned it? YouTube. Jumped on YouTube, found some how to stop using filler words, watched them, started practicing, and here we are. All right. Boosting confidence, belief in and positive regard for oneself. The most important perspective for your own being, your life, is yours, not anyone else's. It's yours. And your ability to believe in and have positive regard is the first point to boosting confidence in your body, your mindset, in your spirit, the person who you are, and your intentions and purpose and passion in life. The willingness to act accordingly. Just doing the right things and knowing that you will create the circumstances that you want. So we have to take care of our bodies, nix comparisons. We can't compare ourselves to others. They are on a completely different journey with different motivating factors that may or may not help them in their journey as well. Surround yourself with support, constantly seeking out people who do it better. You should not be the smartest in the room, they say. You should go find a room where you are learning and growing from others. Facing your fears. So you don't necessarily have to say we got to jump out in front to heights and get rid of heights out of a moving plane and do a skydive, but we need to face our fears to be able to encourage growth for yourself and boost confidence. Strengthen character. Discipline to live honestly, with integrity, and align with your values. Your character, people know what that is. They know who you are by the character traits that you display the most. I want people to see my character as an honest person who's working hard to help other people live better lives. Simply put. So to do this, to build your character, we need to practice humility. Constantly be humble around others. Be grateful. Show gratitude. Be inspired. Be encouraging. Be empathetic and sympathetic for yourself. Be intentional. Intentionality is so important for you to manage. Stay disciplined. You have to stay focused on the journey of what's your most important task to do for your life to create an outcome. And holding yourself accountable. That's what I do for a lot of people, hold them accountable. Prioritize connection. So good social relationships reduce stress, combat loneliness, isolation, and make you feel accepted. Being connected is it. Human beings are social creatures. You need connection. You can respect others' differences. That's probably where we go wrong a little bit. As a human species, we just have, we probably could respect each other a lot more and move and impact the world in a greater way. Communicate efficiently, knowing that the words you say, the text you write, the way you show up in, say, social media impacts those around you. If we all had a pay it forward type lifestyle, most definitely you'll feel that much more in line with yourself. So What we can do next is look at coping skills. With this, we recognize what's happening, allow experience to be there just as it is, investigate with kindness, non-identify with the experience. So that's the rain. Way to a simple analogy. Recognize what's happening, allow the experience to happen, just be there as it is. Investigate with kindness and non-identify with the experience. So here's some great ones from exercising, taking breaths, writing letters, saying yes to social opportunities that benefit you, getting out in the sun, dancing, baking, reading books, unplugging from electronics. These are all things that can help to empower you and move you forward. I'd love for you to take one of those strategies and that we've talked about today to help empower you to be a resilient person, to work that muscle, to strengthen yourself, and to stay focused on the bigger outcomes of what's most important for you. So bouncing back, what do we do here? Well, we want to brainstorm, we want to be organized, we want to review, and we want to assess. That's about goal setting. So coming up with lots of ideas, organizing down, reviewing them, and then assessing what's the next best step for you to take. That's how you get goals going. We want to identify curiosity and with what your strengths are, what your values are, what is your purpose. When you understand your strengths and your weaknesses, you understand what the value you bring to the table and what your purpose is, then you have a lot more confidence in yourself. Your resilience is very high. What's your story versus what your story will be? Super duper important, knowing that the past is behind us. We want to live and experience and grow from that experience. But what's the story that you're creating moving forward? And that's the focal point of learning from the past, building upon it, and growing to what it is. Having a strong identity with who you will become is super important for you. So identify with that. And we can journal, we can write to ourselves, we can find out what are the most effective ways for us to manage and create the change in our world and be resilient for you, for other people as well. Resilience is a process of adapting well in the face of adversity, trauma, tragedy, threats, or significant sources of stress. Resiliency increases longevity, improves mental health, supports life satisfaction. It's learned and developed through practicing various techniques constantly, consistently over time. Sustained through goal setting, leaning into strengths, values, and purpose. Storytelling, super important. So I want to thank you very much for joining me today on this journey of building resilience. Support at wellable.co is the easy way to connect and ask any other questions. So I appreciate your time today. Have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Recording stopped.